just because you're feeling lost and confused and frustrated doesn't mean that, one, you're not actually ridiculously successful, two, you can't be ridiculously successful. Like, you can. It's not one or the other. So this episode is for you. If you are feeling lost or confused, or you're feeling like, what am I even doing? What am I even doing this for? Or you're maybe doubting yourself or feeling like, am I ever going to be able to make this happen? You just feel really low. Then this is for you. So I feel like throughout building FEA, I have always been really honest and open about the ups and downs of building a business. And I decided that I really wanted to talk about what I'm about to share right now, because I just think so often we suffer in silence, and sometimes we feel like we're the only ones really going through it. And sometimes it's just nice to know you're not alone, and we all go through these phases of feeling low and frustrated or lost and confused, no matter what stage of the journey we're at. Because I know, like, so often people we look at everyone else, don't we? We see all the amazing things people are doing, especially on social media. And to be honest, right now, I really just hate social media. Like, I was on there the other night. I mean, to be fair, I like social media right now for house inspiration and parenting tips. That's about it. And I was on there, and there was just, I ended up on the explore page, and there was someone who was dressed really fancy, and it was this reel of her pushing her baby, and she looked perfect, and it kind of like started, and she did a pose, and then she turned and started pushing the pram, and I was like, this is not real life. Who the hell does this? And I feel really bad, because I feel like it's not really good practice to like criticize other people. So like, everyone has to do themselves. I get it, whatever. But at the same time, I'm just like, there's so much fake nonsense on social media that creates this false sense of reality, and it's like, it makes everyone think that everyone else has got it together and that they're the only one whose house is an absolute disaster, and you know, where they're struggling in business or they're struggling in whatever area. I was literally having a conversation with someone recently who I won't name who it is, but she was literally telling me that she was feeding her baby and she was scrolling on Instagram, and all of a sudden she realized that her heart was beating a bit faster. She started to feel really anxious, and she was like, why am I feeling like this? And then she realized it was because she was on social media, and everything she was seeing was just making her feel worse and worse about herself, and her, you know, seeing all these people with like Instagram perfect houses and like kids that do all these amazing things, and just feeling like completely inadequate. And so I think that it's just a bit of a strange time that we live in, where we have this pressure. Anyway, that's kind of a bit of a detour, because that's not necessarily what I came here to talk about today. But I wanted to talk about just the reality behind the scenes, probably for so many of us. I know that for me, with building a business, there's been some absolutely amazing times. There's been some super low times. There's been really confusing times. There's been inspiring times, like all of the emotions. And it just doesn't ever seem to end. It's like this never-ending roller coaster ride of these highs and lows, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But recently, so not that long ago, a few weeks ago, I had got back from a mastermind trip in Colorado. So earlier on in the year, I joined Jeff Walker's mastermind, his Platinum Plus group, and I went out for this mastermind in Durango in Colorado, and it was amazing. There was loads of ideas, and it was great to just connect with everyone. I got home on the Monday, and I was just so excited to see my kids. Like, I had missed them so much, and I was just so happy to be home, and I was so excited to hang out with them. And I was really looking forward to that weekend of spending time with them, more time with them. On the Tuesday, I was in the office working, and I was fine. On the Wednesday morning, I woke up and I was like, oh, I felt like I've got like pains, and I just felt like, I don't know, I just was like, it kind of felt like, I don't know, like trapped wind or something, like across the whole of my stomach. And I was like, what the hell is this? I went down with Casey and Marley, and I was like, oh, I think I need to go and lie down. So I went and lay down, and I was like, I think I've got a stomach bug. And so lay in bed, and then in the afternoon I thought, I'm going to try and have a shower and go and sit outside. So I went in the shower, sat outside, and then I was sick, and I was like, definitely a stomach bug. And then later on in the evening, I was like, I think I need to call up. So if you're in the UK, you'll know we have obviously this number called 111 that you call it and basically speak to someone about like a medical concern, and they'll basically help. So I called 111 and they were like, I'm going to get you an out of hours appointment with the doctor at the hospital. So they made this appointment for me at 10:30 at night, and I went to the hospital, and the guy saw me and he was like, if you still feel like this on Friday, just make an appointment with a GP, and sent me home. As I was walking out the doors of the hospital, the pain was so bad. Kellen was like, I'm going to go and get the car. And I was like, I just knew in myself, like this voice was shouting at me so loud, you cannot leave the hospital, you have to stay. So I was like, Kellen, I'm going to stay, I have to go back in. So I went back in, went round to the out of hours and buzzed, and I was like, I just saw the doctor, please can you let me back in? Like, I'm in so much pain, I can't go. And she was like, oh, sorry, he's seeing someone else now. I don't think I can let you back in. I was like, please. And so she let me back in, and I waited, and then he saw me, and then anyway, blah, 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 blah. I ended up going to hospital. It was crazy. And then the next day they did the CT scan, found out it was my appendix, and then the nurse brought me a cup of tea, and I was like, I'm not allowed to drink tea. She was like, no, you are allowed to drink tea. Anyway, I had this tiny sip of tea, and then they wouldn't do the surgery for like 6 hours, but then there was other surgeries booked in, so I didn't have the surgery until later, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they did it. My appendix had ruptured, and they were telling me how horrendous it was, and there was pus everywhere, and they used 12 litres of saline, and blah, blah. So I went home the next day, and I was in so much pain for a while actually, and then I had to deal with the emotional side of what had happened and the shock, and being told how horrendous it was, and like all that stuff, and like processing that. And I felt really low for a few days, and just like cried a lot to Kellen to try and like just work through the emotion of it all. But then it gave me that space to just think, and I started to realize that for a while now, for like a couple of years, I've been feeling in a bit of a weird place with just kind of like work and everything, and I kind of had suppressed a lot of the feelings because what I was feeling scared me, and I didn't know what to do with it. But then after everything happened with my appendix and I had that space, it just started to really bubble up again, which made me think, like, a friend of mine told me the mind-body connection between appendicitis, and it was something around like having, like, kind of being overwhelmed with too many big ideas and needed to break them down. I was like, oh my gosh, it's the story of my life. But I feel like, these things kind of have to come out, don't they? I feel like sometimes when I've been ignoring myself for a really long time, it just knocks at me until something happens, and I'm like, it's like, bloody listen. But for a really long time, I thought, like, obviously with having kids, like, I used to work so hard all the time, and I used to love it. I was so immersed in it all, and it's what really helped me to build a really successful business. And then since having kids, my priorities obviously changed, and I didn't want to be spending all day, every day working. And so I've been working a lot less, which has been great. And it's great that the business has continued to grow, even though that's happened. But I find myself feeling really lost and really like, what am I doing here? And I think it's a combination of so many things, like having kids, but also having a business that's at a point where I've got a team. And sometimes I come in and sit down at my desk and I feel like, what am I supposed to do today? Like, what am I going to do? And like, other people are doing this stuff, and what's here for me? And it's such a weird feeling sometimes to like not really fully know my place, and to want to be the person coming up with the ideas and doing that, which is great. But then also knowing that I am also a real doer, and it became really confusing to figure out, like, who am I here, and like, what am I doing, and what is my purpose? And yes, I know, obviously, like, coming up with the ideas, being that visionary position, and I know all that stuff, but just on an emotional level, I felt really disconnected. And so, like, yeah, the combination of having kids, just feeling a bit disconnected, and also just feeling like trapped by things, like asking myself, do I want to be doing this in 10 years' time? And where is this really going? And what am I actually passionate about anymore? And what is it I want to say? And I hate social media, and I don't even know if I want to show up on it anymore. And what do I do about that? And which I think is fine. I don't think you have to be on social media to be successful, but still. But like, I just had all these questions, and they've been there for a really long time, but I feel like I've been ignoring them. And I think so often we suffer in silence with the struggles that we're going through, and we keep pushing them away and not dealing with them. And it gets to a point where it's like you have to deal with it. And so for me, over the past few weeks of kind of having all this stuff bubbling up, I just feel like there's been so many like lessons learned, and I just want to share some of the things with you because, like I said, I think so often we do just sometimes feel so alone. And like, for example, when I've been feeling lost lately, you definitely feel isolated by it, and you feel I don't know, that you look around and you just think, you see other people doing great stuff and you're like, why can't I just get it together? Like, why am I feeling this way? What is going on? And actually, I ended up a few weeks ago sitting down to try and journal on it and just not even knowing where to begin. I just didn't know how to unpick it. I didn't know the questions to ask myself. Felt like I was just kind of like stuck in a loop of like contradicting thoughts. On the one hand, I love FEA, I love what I do. I love my kids. I want to spend more time with my kids. I like working, but do I want to be doing like, what am I doing at work? And all these contradicting thoughts. And I just like was like, what? I'm just stuck in this loop. So for me, once I become really aware of something and really aware that I am feeling low, that I am lost, that I am confused, that I am frustrated, and looking back, especially like over this year, I can see how my like vision for everything has been like so kind of all over the place because I've been all over the place. And so I realized I really want to do something about this because I don't want to go on feeling the way I'm feeling. And I know I don't have to go on feeling the way I'm feeling. I can actually look at this and address things and think through it. So for me, being in this situation and feeling like, yeah, what the hell's going on here? What I did over the past few weeks is, one, get help and start talking about the way I feel and what's going on, because no one's an island. You don't have to be an island. You don't have to figure everything out by yourself. You don't have to figure everything out alone, because there are people out there that can help you. It's like, for me, when I sat down to start journaling and realized I didn't know the questions to ask myself, I realized I need to get help because there's someone out there that can hold a mirror up for me and ask me the questions that are going to help me to kind of see my way through this mess. And so I started reaching out to people. I started booking calls with coaches, and I booked a call with someone who I always have sessions with she helps me with like mindset stuff and just like clearing things, booking the crystal healing sessions that I have to like just work on my energy, and like actually working with some new people to help me to dig through it. Talking to my husband, Kellen, and like working through it with him, talking to my brother, James, who works with me, and talking through it with him, talking through it with like some of the people on the team. And obviously not necessarily everything, but like some of the things that I'm feeling, and like working through it with everyone, like with them. And so just talking about it, like stopping, instead of bottling it all up and keeping it so locked up, just letting it come out. And it's kind of like, when you're tidying a room in your house or it kind of sometimes gets messier before it gets tidier. Sometimes I feel like it's like spewing everything out, and then it becomes like an even bigger mess. And you're like, I didn't realize how big of a monster this was, and I didn't realize how conflicting I feel about everything, and I didn't realize how all over the place I am with everything. But it's out there now, and like now I can start to pick it apart and think through like, what is this, and try and like figure it out. So that really helped, like doing that and like speaking to people. So speak to people, figure out who can help you. Do you have a friend you can ask? Who can help you? If you're in communities and things like that, then reaching out to people in there who have probably gone through exactly the same thing is such a powerful thing. Like, obviously in the Female Entrepreneur Association, we have our membership, and they're just full of so many nice people. So if you're in it and you're struggling, like, I'm there, reach out, like say something, like let's talk about it, because we all go through this stuff all the time. It's just that a lot of people don't share it and don't talk about these phases. The second thing I really wanted to talk about that helped me is reading books and having resources that can really help. So lately I've just been reading books, and it's really helped me to just kind of, for me at the moment, actually there's 3 books right here in my bag that I'm like going crazy. And they're not non-fiction books. So one of them is The 100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and absolute old school, J. Abraham, Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got, What to Do When Times Are Tough. So those are 3 books that are in my bag that I've been reading through. And like, I feel like when I'm like this, it's like I've got to change my thinking. I've got to open myself up to think in different ways. And books are a really powerful way to do that, because you're then soaking up other people's ideas, the way other people think. And it's like Albert Einstein said something like, you can't solve a problem from the level of thinking you had when it was created. So what can you do to change the way you're thinking, to change the way, because sometimes we get stuck in that rut of feeling, I'm stuck. Which reminds me, Marley, my 1-year-old, she says, I'm stuck. But literally, like, that's the mantra sometimes we can get, where we get stuck. And we have to be able to pull ourselves away from that thinking, because it's so easy to go in a spiral and to be pulling ourselves down and to be like, oh, I feel so low and I feel like I can't get myself out of this. And so we just stay stuck in that low energy. But reading books helps to, for me, raise my energy, helps me to think differently. I get ideas from it, sparks inspiration. And honestly, that's what I want to try and get back, that inspiration, that spark that has completely deserted me and has really kind of flickered on and off for the past few years for me. And like when it comes to work. And so getting into that, so finding the books that you love, finding books that are going to help bring you kind of back to yourself, or help you to see things differently. And also resources like courses. I've started to go through courses, and I've got things that I really want to go through, and that again has just been really helpful. Some of them got nothing to do with business. I've been doing Wim Hof, his breathing. I've got his app and his course, and it's like his 30-day challenge where I'm doing like the cold shower. Bloody hell, that mean it's cold. And his breathing, and that's been really helpful. So what can you do differently that might help make some little changes? And then that's the thing, isn't it? It's little things, and then all of a sudden you're through it and you're like, I did it, I got through this. And then the next thing I always ask myself when I'm intentional about it is like, how do I want to feel? So now knowing that I've been feeling so low and asking myself, how do I want to feel, helps me to then think, actually, what is this? Like, what do I actually want? And honestly, I'm not done with unpicking this. And I say that as from someone who I consider myself to be an intentional person. So even people who think they're intentional fall off the intention wagon and spiral. And so I feel like I really need to spend some time unpicking that question, because I'm not fully sure. I'm not. And I feel like that's fine. Like, I don't have to have all the answers. But I can start to get clear on like, how do I want to feel? And what are the pieces of this? And then like looking at, okay, if this is the way I want to feel, what can I do that's going to help me to feel that way? What are the practical things I can do that help me to feel that way? Maybe like I just need to create more structure. So yeah, what is it? And then also thinking about, what can you do that will fill up your cup? So when I was chatting to someone the other week about the way I was feeling, and I was just like blurting it all out, she asked me this question. She said, Carrie, what do you do for you? And I was like, I play with my kids. And she was like, no, that you're not doing that for you. And I was like, and I just stopped and I was like, nothing. Like, I can't tell you the last time I did something for myself. Like at all. And then she said something like, well, like, no wonder you feel so depleted. You're just like giving to everyone and you're not giving to yourself. And I was like, I can't even remember the last time I went on a date night with my husband. And I know it's the phase I'm in with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. I get it. But like, at the same time, I do feel like it is about making more time for that and not just getting so swept up. And so then I was like, okay, well, what could I do for me? And so I made this list, and I thought, I've really been wanting to do a spa day with myself for a while again. And so I was like, I'm going to book a spa day every month and go where it's just me and I can just sit with myself and my thoughts and like journal, do whatever, have space, because I feel like it's in that space where the magic happens. It's in that space where you connect with yourself in a deeper way, where ideas flow, where creativity flows, and that's what helps me to thrive. And I've just been suffocating myself of it. And I think so often we do suffocate ourselves from having that space because we think that that's not productive, because we need to be working or doing something, and we don't. So having that space for myself. What else did I put a bunch of stuff on my list. I want to start playing the piano again. I want to buy some crystal singing bowls, because I wanted to buy some last year and I didn't, and I really want to do it and learn something for myself. So there's a bunch of things. I want to start reading again. I have been reading again, so I've already been doing that. But so I made a list of all the things I can do for me. What can I do for me? What can I do to help me feel good? What can help to fill my cup back up? And just how can I reconnect with myself? Like, who am I? Like, I know who I am to other people. I know I'm mum, and I'm a wife, and I'm a boss, and I know those things, and I know who I am to other people, but who am I to myself, and who am I now? Like, what is this version of me? And just reconnecting with that and feeling good about it. And then lastly, the other thing I've been doing is feeling like grateful for what I do have, because I find that when I'm feeling low, it's so easy to look at everything through like a grey lens. And actually, I was like, Carrie, you work so hard to get to a point where you have a business, where you have a team, and largely it can run itself and you can spend loads of time with your kids. So as much as you want to feel the momentum and the next thing and figure that piece out, enjoy where you're at. Just enjoy it, like relax and enjoy it. So it's kind of like then looking at, well, what am I grateful for? Like, what really lights me up right now that I am grateful for, and focusing on that and feeling good about that. And so like there's lots of figuring out all the pieces. And since I've been doing this stuff and like, you know, having these conversations and reading the books and doing this, actually, I've been working my way through the mess, and the clarity is coming back. And it feels really good to start having some of those pieces. Like, have I got the whole picture in place? Absolutely not. But like, I feel so much better. And then yesterday I showed up to a mixer. Selena Sue was having this mixer, and she'd invited me a while ago, and I was supposed to be doing a launch, but then I wasn't doing the launch because I had my appendix out. So I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I can come. So I logged on, and we ended up going into like different breakout rooms. And in this one breakout room I was with there was like 4 of us in there, and we all had to share like what we would wish for. And one of the guys was like, I've got 2 kids, and they were like 15 and I can't remember something else. And he was like, I just want to spend the next few years just kind of like doing what I can so I can be present with them, but still have a successful business. And then like after that, I'm going to be able to do things like hunker down for 48 hours and just work, and then just go off somewhere. And then I was like, that's so interesting, because like I used to be like that, where I would like hunker down for like 48 hours and just go like work and just solidly work. But now obviously I don't. And he was like, I miss being able to do that, but I want to be present in the time that I've got with my kids. And I was like, that's so how I feel. And then there's another guy, and he was like, I've got 2 kids too. I think he had a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old or something. And like, he was like, I'm in it. And he was like, sometimes, I think he said something like about how he feels like, you know, something around like having the energy for doing the dad stuff and the business stuff. And then I was last, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel exactly the same way. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and sometimes I get so confused between like, you know, who am I? Like wanting to spend so much time with my kids and be there for them and be present for them, but also having the pressure and the desire of having a business and like wanting to build a business and what is that piece? And then how do these 2 pieces fit together? And feeling like so many different layers of all these emotions, and realizing, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. We all feel all these layers of emotion. We're all dealing with different things which make us feel different things. And there's no exception to that. Some of us might be absolutely having the best time ever right now, and others of us are struggling with something and going through something and trying to figure something out. And we're all in it together. Like we're all just trying to wing it. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all just going along on this journey. And like, none of us have it all planned out, or it's nothing, it's not perfect for any of us. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this and share it, because like I said so many times, like, I think it's so easy to suffer in silence and to start feeling really isolated with the way you're feeling. And I think the other thing is, I am sharing all this stuff because I have been where I'm at now so many times. Yes, in the past, it's not been about kids and like basically wanting to just be with my kids instead of working sometimes. But like, okay, that's a different issue. And the different issue of the fact that like now I'm navigating different things with the team and figuring out what my place is. Like, those are challenges specific to like the time in my life right now. But feeling lost and confused and what the hell am I doing? And where is this going? Like, this is not a new thing. I have experienced this over and over and over again as I've built a business. And every time, the moment I've got awareness around the fact that like, I am like, there's something going on here that I need to work through, I work through the mess and like, I'll pour it all out, and I do the things that I've just shared with you to look at like, how do I get through this? How can I change my thinking? How can I level my thinking? And I mean, I even talked about it in my book, She Means Business, about how I met with a friend one time and I was feeling so overwhelmed, and he sat down with me and he helped me break everything down. He helped me get everything out of my head. Sometimes that's all we need, is like someone to sit down with us and to like help us to work through all of the things we've been bottling up that are making us feel like we're about to explode. We're like bubbling over with all this stuff, and it just feels so overwhelming. So we all go through this. Sorry, this is the point I wanted to make. I wanted to say, like, just because you're feeling lost and confused and frustrated doesn't mean that, one, you're not actually ridiculously successful. Two, you can't be ridiculously successful. Like, you can feel lost and confused and frustrated and still become really successful, or still be really successful. And like, it's not one or the other. And it's just all the emotions we feel. And I don't think we should feel ashamed of it, because actually, we're all going to experience it multiple times. And it's like, how do you choose to respond to it? And it's like that quote, Viktor Frankl, that I always share: everything in life can be taken away from you except for your freedom to choose how you respond. So how do you choose to respond when you feel really low? How do you choose to respond when you feel lost? How do you choose to respond when you're feeling just utterly bloody confused and you just don't know up from down anymore? How do you choose to respond? And for me, I know I can always work my way through it. I trust that I can work my way through the mess. I trust that the mess is part of the journey. And in fact, you know what? I was thinking about this recently. You know, this whole stuff with my appendix and this mess of everything, it made me realize this is helping me to see things in a different way. And actually, maybe this is my transition from one level to another level. And I've often found actually that this mess, this bubble that appears and that just goes and goes everywhere, is actually the leap from one phase to another phase. And it feels really bloody uncomfortable and difficult, but it's happened to me so many times. So maybe that's what's happening for you. Maybe you're like, ever been nodding along with this and thinking, yes, I get this. And maybe for you too, you feel that this is your transition from, you're in the middle of it, you're in the chaos of it. And there's actually the quote in my book that says something like, for a star to be born, a gaseous nebulous has to happen. Basically, it has to explode. Like, where's my book? Let me see if I can find it. For a star to be born, there's one thing that must happen. A gaseous nebula must collapse. So collapse, crumble. This is not your destruction. This is your birth. I literally wrote right here, everyone who is trying to turn their ideas into reality and build a successful business feels discomfort at some stage. We're all pushing ourselves to do things we've never done before, and that causes the resistance to rise up, the fears, the doubts, the worries, and it feels uncomfortable. Just know that this discomfort is not your destruction. It is your birth. It means you're on your way to achieving greatness. So whenever you feel it bubbling up, I want you to say, bring it on, discomfort. I knew I'd meet you here and I'm ready for you. Actually, I'm excited you've arrived because it means I'm moving in the direction of my dreams. I'm going to keep on climbing up, up, up. So let's be friends, yes? Maybe I need to read my own book again. But that is the thing. And that is the way I choose to respond and choose to see things. And it's always helped me to just go from one thing to the next and work my way through it and the discomfort and all that jazz. So I hope in me sharing this, and a little spider just crawled up my computer screen, has made its web in my webcam. How delightful. I hope in me sharing this, it's helped some of you to feel like better in yourself and to know that you can get through it, and what can you do, what people can you lean on, who can you turn to. And like I said, even if you're part of my membership, like come in there, like everyone in there is just so nice and so friendly. If you're not in it but want to, I'll leave the link. There's it's not open at the moment, but you can get on the wait list. I'll put it in the show notes for you. But yeah, like it's a wonderful journey, isn't it? Life, business, trying to go after your dreams, trying to become the best version of yourself. But we can't become the best version of ourselves if we don't go through this crap. Like, we just can't, I don't think. So, yes, let's respond wisely. I think the spider agrees. It's going up and down its web right in front of me. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to have a conversation, and I'd love to support you if you're just feeling really, really crappy at the moment. So I'm always here for you. You know, you can always reach me on email or on my Instagram at I am Carrie Green. Come over, message me. And also, if you do enjoy listening to this podcast, I would absolutely love it if you could take a moment just to leave me a review on Apple Podcast, if you listen to it over there, because it helps for other people to discover this podcast, and that would be amazing. So if you could help me with that, I would really appreciate it. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I will be back next Tuesday for another episode of the She Means Business Show.